Hello, everypony, and welcome to Fiction Corner, where stories are told and critiques are made, and all are given their chance in the spotlight. This time around, I will be covering a book that is from a genre that I do not normally read in great quantity, although this story more than makes up for it with sheer quality of work and dedication to detail. I'm talking about the book I'll Always Be Here For You, written by the renowned minister of cuteness, The Abyss. From the very start, this book captured my attention, as many of Abyss's stories have done in the past, and I was dragged into the plot by the nose as each chapter brought me closer and closer to the edge of my seat. Coming in at a total of 23 chapters and just a hair over 92,000 words, this book may not be the longest I have ever read by any stretch of the imagination, but it more than makes up for it in detail and heartbreaking emotional attachment. Buckle up, my friends, because this is going to be a roller coaster of heartthrobs and heartbreak that will make your head spin if you are unprepared. The story begins in Rainbow Dash's home on a stormy winter night, where our cocky speedster is having trouble sleeping, yet things quickly go from bad to worse when the Pegasus hears crying coming from outside her window, revealed to be none other than Scootaloo running away from her home and nearly freezing to death in the overpowered weather. Taking pity on the filly and worried as to why the little Pegasus was running away from her home, Dash takes the frozen foal into her house to rest for the night, only to discover that things back at Scootaloo's house are not as sweet and carefree as they should be. Following the detailed story of her flight from her home and disclosing the fact that her parents are monstrous drunks, Scootaloo spends the night while Rainbow mulls over all that she has learned from her surrogate sister. Determined to find out just how bad things truly are, Rainbow escorts Scoots back to her house the following morning, only to find that what she expected couldn't hold a candle to the reality of Scootaloo's tragic situation. To say the house and property were in shambles would have been an insult to shambles everywhere, and it only got worse once the filly let Rainbow into the house proper. Drunk and careless about anything besides themselves, Scoot's parents are every bit the stereotypical wastes of space that people imagine when they think of abusive, alcoholic adults. To bring a depressing line of thought to a quick close, Rainbow shares what she's learned with Twilight, and they return to the house just in time to save Scootaloo from getting her head bashed in by her father, and I use the term loosely, although they were too late to prevent the monster from breaking the filly's wing in several places. The duo take the battered foal to the hospital, and Twilight contacts Celestia for help concerning the situation, given there hasn't been a case of foal abuse in several hundred years. Foal services are contacted so they can look into the situation, and thus begins the long and arduous battle that will decide the fates of both Scootaloo and her parents. I won't say any more because that would get its way into spoiler territory very quickly, so instead I'll switch over to the main points and lessons that I personally pulled from this book. The Abyss is a highly talented author when it comes to the subtle details of interpersonal relationships, and it shows in this story just as well as it has in the other books I have read by him. In the plethora of things I could talk about in this particular story, 3 come to mind that stick out the most. These 3 topics are as follows: courage, patience, and trust. The first of the 3, courage, is something that all of the main cast have to show in the face of these rather trying times. Not only is there the personal element involved because of Rainbow's relationship with Scootaloo, but the familial bond that has to be broken in order for Scootaloo to live a healthy life. Although at this point I question if that bond ever existed in the first place. Yet even though she has been cowed and literally beaten into submission by her parents, again I use the term very loosely, Scootaloo steps up and fights for herself as both Rainbow and Twilight stand beside her in order to make a better life for the little filly that they know and love. Jumping a bit from the interpersonal battles of court, there is another aspect of courage that must be faced in this book, and that is the battle waged in the hearts of our 2 main characters, Twilight and Rainbow. This is a Twi-Dash story, in case you missed the memo, but just to make things clear, the lines of love and friendship are rather far apart at the beginning of this book, as the idea of romance between the 2 had never come into their minds until the situation surrounding Scootaloo came into the light. Thus the idea of taking their friendship into something more is a rather daunting one, and a battle that might very well have standing in Scootaloo's fight for her own safety and happiness if not handled properly. I'll let you discover how things play out in the story for yourselves, but a fair warning to all, it won't be a smooth road by any stretch of the imagination. Moving on to the second topic, patience, we have a much more straightforward representation of the struggles faced by the cast. The most trying thing about this entire situation, the fact is that it takes so damn long to get anything done in the legal system. This factor tries the patience of pretty much every pony in the cast at one point or another, leaving many wondering how they can stand to hold on to hope for this long. The answer is rather simple when you think about it, though. They either hold on to hope or abandon Scootaloo to the whims of the foster care system, where she will be forced to live in Canterlot and be unable to see her friends or surrogate family ever again. Faced with these options, it's not hard to see why Rainbow, Twilight, and company are fighting as hard as they can to make sure Scootaloo gets to stay in Ponyville and have a healthy fillyhood away from her monstrous parents. The last topic, trust, is the subtlest of the three, although no less important. After being subjected to such a horrible upbringing, Scootaloo latches onto her saviors like a limpet on a ship hull, and breaking that fragile trust could very well mean her end, because it would leave her with absolutely no pony to look to for help and support when she needs it most. Meanwhile, Twilight and Rainbow have to trust each other that they can care for Scootaloo while the court works things out on their end, as well as trust in the full services agents to do their jobs and make sure Scootaloo is well taken care of. These fragile threads of trust are what hold the cast together during the course of the story and are constantly tested by the twists and turns of the plot in almost every chapter. Yet as they move forward, the bonds between the characters grow stronger, hold closer to what is important, and allows them to weather the trials of the legal system in order to see Scootaloo to where she needs to be. Combine all of these factors, enough weaponized cuteness to sink a battleship, and heart-wrenching revelations that will both make you want to cry and murder the ponies responsible, and you have a story that has more than earned its title as one of the masterworks compared to the other stories I have read. This does not mean that the other books I've seen are bad, mind you. It just means that this one is a complete cut above the rest, and I am proud to say that I've Always Be Here For You is one of the best romance books I have ever had the pleasure of reading to this day. And so, if you want to dive into a romance novel that has both suspense, intrigue, and enough cute to give a heartless monster diabetes, then take a look inside one of the Abyss's best works. And be sure to let Abyss know I sent you if you learned about this book from this video. Other than that, I look forward to hearing from all of you in the towel section below. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like if you want to see more content, and I'll see all of you next time. This is Shadowquill, Messenger of the Moon, signing off.
Feel like I am flying, soaring high. Nobody can bring me down.